Listener beware, No Time to Game is a podcast chock full with spoilers. If your intent is to play this game and you don't wish the ending to be spoiled, turn back now. And then come back when you're done and let's talk about it. Welcome to No Time to Game, a quest for game-life balance where we play and talk about short games, indie games, and anything else that doesn't demand you sacrifice your relationships or live off Hot Pockets. I'm Devin, and I just don't have the hundreds of hours anymore to play MMOs, open-world games, and loot grinds.
And I'm Josh, and I play bad games so Devin can avoid them.
I appreciate that. This week I played Human Fall Flat, totally accurate battle simulator, and totally reliable delivery service on Xbox One. While these three games were quite different from each other with regards to their genre, they were all tied together by goofiness and silly physics.
I think what we'll do maybe is start off just kind of giving a quick rundown of each game and what they were all about. So I'm going to go through these in the order that you played them, starting with Human Fall Flat. Do you want to give me
Funny how you say that. Human Fall Flat. Your emphasis is
how do you say
Human Fall Flat.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's our podcast. We're just going to talk about that for the next hour and a half.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go on. I threw you off.
Nope, that's fine. I was just wondering how you would describe this game. So what's it about? What was the goal? How does it play? That kind of thing.
Yeah, of course. I'll say first as an aside, I really love going into these games with knowing very little about them. I find that thrilling and really just exciting. So going into this game knowing nothing about it at all, other than it's called Human Fall Flat, or Human Fall Flat if you're a sane person, I didn't know what to expect. So you walk in and you're just this little, white character, very nondescript, very few features, it looks like maybe a construction worker's, what are those hats called that they wear? The hard hats. Yeah. Yep. That's the one. So, and you walk in and you're just this kind of awkward character that you control with his arms, with your triggers, and then you're interacting with your world around you, and it's all the levels are just puzzles. You're just trying to proceed to the next area, and in the beginning that was quite easy. Easy. It's all pretty silly. So like you can control the character, but he's stumbly and clumsy, and you can jump, but you've got to do it carefully because he's more prone to fall off the cliff than actually make the jump. So you can grab onto things, you can flick switches, you can open doors, and the levels get progressively more complicated and less obvious as you go on. I didn't beat this game, but I played through, I think, 4 or 5 levels. They got bigger and longer as I went.
So the goal is basically just to make it to the end of the level, right? There was
make it to the end, exactly. And sometimes, it's a lot of interacting with the environment. Sometimes you're literally just trying to jump across some platforms and climb up a cliff, and sometimes you've got to actually use the items around you, like train cars or boxes or switches or buttons on the ground, to actually open doors and proceed.
Right. So basically, there's no enemies or anything. There's just some stuff in your way in a place you gotta be.
That's right. No enemies. If you fall off the edge, I liked this part. If you fall off the edge of anything, because these are all kind of floating islands. None of the graphics are great, but they're pleasing, and there's some pleasing music in the background. If you fall off the edge, then you just fall for a while, and then you land kind of right where you were before you fell, so you never have to go back too far, and it's just kind of, I don't know, it's just satisfying the way that it did that, and then you get to the end and you just jump off a cliff and you end up falling into the next world, hence the fall flat, and you can press a button to ragdoll and you just kind of fall splat on the ground. You cannot die. There's no dying, there's no enemies, there's nothing other than just interacting with things around you, doing some silly stuff. And there was a lot of silly stuff. Sometimes there's catapults and you're launching yourself across walls, and sometimes There's very narrow like walls or kind of like a tightrope that you have to walk across. That's shouldn't be that hard, but it's very difficult to control this little guy.
Yeah, he
Um,
does kind of stumble around, and like I think you could move his arms individually and stuff, right? Like the kind of thing
yes.
is like this game looks easy if it was, modern controls and modern physics, but it's awkward because of the silly controls and physics. I think is kind of what
I
they
mean,
were
yeah,
going
that's
for.
exactly. It's the whole point of this game is for it to be difficult because he's difficult to control. That's kind of the whole shtick. Um, and yeah, I mean, I had a great time. It was it was just a hoot,
Cool.
a lot of fun.
So I guess you just said you liked it. Was there anything about it that really stood out for you, or anything about it that you particularly didn't like that you think held it back?
Um, I mean, I guess as it went on, um, I guess the level that I stopped on, it was more difficult and less obvious where I was supposed to go. It seemed like a much larger map, and there was a few different directions I could go. I mean, there was basically it was I think it was called water, and there were boats, and one of them was just a rowboat. That was a time having two different arms and trying to row. I think with the joysticks, trying to row this boat with two independent arms was so slow and so frustrating. And then I would get to another bit of land, and there's a speedboat. Spent about 30 minutes trying to awkwardly pull and push this speedboat off of the sand into the water without even knowing really if it was possible. Turns out it was, and I did get it in the water, but then, I mean, that was a lot faster. But then it's like going all over the place, and I beached it again. I was so annoyed.
Yeah.
And yeah, that level, I mean, I didn't beat that level. I gave up on that level. It was a bit too much for me. I just kept getting stuck and lost interest.
Yeah, I think the vehicles were something else. Like it
Mm,
was, as bad as it was to control the character and as floppy and awkward as he is, trying to control a vehicle with sort of those physics, and the speedboat I think was just like a one lever or something that you would pull, and it was left and right to steer and forward and back for acceleration or something like that, and it
yep.
was really, really hard to do any kind of precise controlling in those kind of things. Like it was just all over the place.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, and then you take the speedboat to a large like cargo what are the, shipping kind of like a shipping
Like a
boat, shipping
shipyard or
freighter
something.
with a bunch of no, it's an actual ship. But it had I'm really struggling with words tonight. It's not good. The big crates that have
Like a shipping
things in
container.
them for trans. Yeah, shipping container on a shipping crate, shipping ship, whatever, and you've got to steer that through the ocean to bring it in on this area that you can see is like just wide enough for your ship, and then you got to control a crane to get the crates off in order to stack them so you can get up to the next part. That was frustrating. That was very
Right.
hard to get. You have to hook it into the sides of these containers. Anyway,
Right.
I am rambling.
So I took a look at the Steam reviews for this game, and it got really positive reviews. I was kind of surprised. Not that I don't like it or think it was bad or anything, but I expected more people to just kind of give up. Like, this is frustrating. I don't want to play it. But
Right.
it was generally pretty positive. The best review I found said, the amount of times I've said "grab my butt" in this game speaks to its quality.
I mean, I oddly know exactly what he means because you're trying to grab something and you end up your arm gets stuck underneath your leg and you're actually holding onto your butt. And yeah, I get that.
Yeah. Another thing too about this game is that it has co-op, which neither of us played, so I think that's a different experience too. Most of the comments that I saw, people were saying like, definitely play this with a friend. Like, it's more fun in co-op, and that's a theme that will probably come up a lot. But there's a lot of fun in these games playing with a friend to just kind of laugh at what silly things are going on compared to, sitting by yourself and just sort of, oh, yes, that was quite funny. Haha.
That's why I really enjoyed streaming this game. It seemed to attract a few viewers, and those viewers really loved this game. So they were interacting and helping me with the puzzles when I asked for it, and laughing when I couldn't get it. And yeah, it was a lot like that. Now, are we talking about online co-op or couch co-op?
I think it's both.
Okay.
But
yeah,
sure.
I would do that for sure. This would be another game that would just be a lot of fun to spend an evening with a friend.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's sort of human fall flat. Was there anything else of note that you want to mention about that before we move on?
I can't stop laughing when you say the name. I don't know why it tickles me so.
I think it's human fall flat. So I'm blaming the colon for the way that I pronounce it.
Even with the colon, that is the way it's written, human. I still think I would have said human fall flat.
Well,
it doesn't matter. That's irrelevant.
We will have to fist fight over this later on.
I have never been in a fist fight. Okay, well, what game are we talking about next?
So the next one that you played was totally accurate. I can never say this game. Totally accurate battle simulator.
Battle simulator.
Yes, which from now on I'm going to call tabs.
Yes, that's easier.
You want to give me a description of, as best you can, describe what this game is.
I feel like you play this one a lot compared to HFF.
Yeah, I beat Human Fall Flat probably a couple years ago, and I did beat all the campaign for tabs.
Sure.
That was available when I played it. I don't know, probably last year sometime.
I think I might have beaten 3 different. I don't know what to call them. Parts of the campaign, just like sections, because you start. Okay, how to describe this game? So you're given a battlefield. The red team is on the right side of the battlefield, and there's a certain number of troops, and you have so much money to spend on your own troops that you think will defeat the red team. You're the blue team, and you in the beginning you're only given access to so many different types. I think you maybe start with farmers or something like that. So there's like scarecrows and farmers with pitchforks, and I don't remember. I think there's a wheelbarrow guy, and they all do their own thing, and they all have their own abilities, and they can all. Some of them are faster. Some of them can barrel through things. Some of them are just melee. Some of them throw things or shoot bow and arrow, and you're just trying to beat the red team. That's it. So you spread out your troops. You can put them wherever you want. It's a pretty decent sized map. And like I said, you have limited resources to spend on these troops. And then you basically just press play and watch it unfold. You can, but you don't need to control them at this point. You can take control of one at a time if you want. I didn't realize that or do that until later on. But yeah, each stage gets a little harder. As you go, you get other different types of troops unlocked. And you're just trying to see who wins. But all these characters are they're just silly little, very similar to Human Fall Flat in the way they move. They're very clumsy. They're very silly. They all have very funny it's not, I wouldn't call it dialogue, but just the sounds that they make are hilarious. You want to play this one with the volume up or headphones on like I did, because some of the things that they say or the sounds they make are just so ridiculous.
They all also have googly eyes, which I very much appreciated about this game.
Yeah, they all have googly eyes, so then they're wobbling around and their eyes are going crazy, and sometimes they're like attacking things, but they're kind of like upside down or they're stretched out. They're all just
they get stuck on
stumbling
things a lot. It's sort of like the
Yeah,
world's
exactly.
dumbest game of rock paper scissors or something, where there's like, I don't know how many there are, probably close to 100 different units, and sort of each one is good against certain other ones, and it depends on the terrain and how many you have, and just luck sometimes. But there was just a lot of, you just set it up and watch it go, and there's a lot of different outcomes that can happen from that.
And there's not just one way to beat a level. I mean, there's lots of different ways you could do it. There were a few that had me stuck. I had to try a bunch of different things. Like, okay, maybe less troops, but I'll spend all my money on like one or two really strong ones, like kind of a boss type thing. Or okay, so those bosses are not winning against all these archers. Let's try spreading out my troops more. So yeah, there's some skill involved with that, but it's mostly just try it and see what happens and play it out. Um, and yeah, it was funny. I mean, after farmers, it's like, let me think of some of the other examples of units. Like, there's a category of like pirates and Wild West and spooky and like ninjas and Vikings and all of these different types of categories that each had, I think, 6 or 7 different units within them. And you got these as you progressed. My favorite, I would say my favorite unit to use was the Reaper.
Same.
I just felt he was really OP.
Yeah.
Like,
Whenever I couldn't beat a level, I'd just call in a Reaper, or as many Reapers
yeah,
as I could, and then fill out the rest with something to just get in the way to let the Reaper do his job, because he would really just clean house. I
yeah. If
should
ever I had
note
enough money,
I should note too that when you played this, the game was still in early access, um, but it is now actually released on PC, and I think the full release is coming to Xbox soon. As of time of recording, it might even be out now. So there are a few features in this game that we're not talking about, and that's because they didn't exist in the version that we played. I think they've added a unit creator now, where you can create your own units, which
oh
I really
neat.
want to see when that comes out. I'm definitely gonna revisit this game and give that a go, because that sounds really cool.
Oh sure.
And I think they also added multiplayer of some sort. I think before you could always kind of 2-player setup. One gets red team, one gets blue team. But I think there's something new there with like co-op or something, and I'm not really sure what that is. But another thing that maybe we'll check out in the future when it comes to Xbox.
Oh, I would do that. Yeah, that sounds like a good time.
So same question for this game. What did you like about it, and what didn't you like about it?
Sure. I liked that. I liked that I could play this pretty easily with my kids. Like they enjoyed this. There was no reason not to. There was no violence. I mean, there was violence, but there was no
It's
like
not
no
real
graphic
violence.
violence. No, it's not real violence.
It's like kind of like
Um,
mashing 2 GI Joes together and saying they're fist fighting. It's about the level of violence that this game has.
exactly. That's a good analogy. Uh, so that was great. I mean, my youngest really loved this game. Like he asks to play it still, nearly every day. So that's great. And it was like I could leave him to it, and he would just enjoy it and play it by himself. For me, I just enjoyed how easy it was to just spend a half an hour or an hour just messing around, and then I could leave it and come back to it. I guess in the same kind of vein, I did get bored with it after 2 or 3 hour stream. I was ready for it to be done. Like I didn't feel the need to beat it. I didn't feel the need to continue. It would be fun to come back to after a long break of it, or play it with a friend or something if there was multiplayer. But I didn't have like a desire to continue.
Yeah, I beat the campaigns that were available, but once I was done the campaigns, I had no real interest in just like sandbox mode. Um,
No.
It was also on Xbox, at least, you can only have 30 units per side. And this was not a requirement, I think, when I played it, and certainly before that. And I don't know if it might even just be an Xbox or console only limitation. But you used to be able to put sort of however much you wanted, and your console or PC or whatever would just kind of grind to a halt if it couldn't handle it. And you would watch this happen in like super slow motion because it would just lag super hard. And that, I think, was more fun for sandbox purposes, because you could see like what happens if I put 200 balloon archers up against one mammoth or something. Like, you could do really, really stupid setups, but the limitation of only having 30 units per side on Xbox, I think, sort of broke that a little bit. It was kind of a bummer that, like, you know, you could see what happened when you put 30 of something, but it might not be interesting in the same way that, like, if it would let you put 100 of that unit, it might make for a really funny fight that you don't have the opportunity to see.
Yeah, I did at times get to 30 and realize, or I was kind of bummed out that I couldn't do more. Like, I had more money, or I just wanted to fill this side, and yeah, I mean, I was a little bummed. I guess there is sandbox mode for that if you really wanted to, but
Well, that's what
yeah,
I mean. The
I didn't really want
sandbox
to.
mode, I think, is still limited to 30.
Really?
Yeah, so, and I,
Oh,
I assume that was probably a limitation because it came out on Xbox One.
sure.
Because it did get kind of
Can only
laggy
handle so much.
that, you know, that's what you played it on, that's what I played it on. But the Xbox Series X is now out, and when I picked that up, I actually went back to this game to see whether they added more stuff, or you could do crazier things, but those same limitations were there, which is kind of a bummer. But again, like, you know, maybe with the full release, we'll get more stuff that we couldn't do before. So definitely something I'm going to go back to and check out, because I do really like this game. It's hilarious. And
Oh yeah.
if you want to see some of those really ridiculous battles, I'm sure there's a lot of YouTube content out there from the early days or PC builds or whatever that you can still see these crazy things that people have set up that you can no longer do, or at least can't do on Xbox. I checked out the Steam reviews for this one as well, and I knew people liked this game, but I think it had a thing at the top saying it was one of the top 10 most highly reviewed Steam games ever.
Wow.
Which maybe not ever, maybe it was for the last week or something, I'm not sure, but it was popular. And I was kind of blown away how much people love this. There was a billion reviews for this game. A lot of really good ones, but the couple of my favorite was if you're looking for a dumb battle simulator to play with your equally dumb friends, check out this game.
That's positive. Like, it's obviously a positive review, but self-deprecating.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, like in the nicest way possible. And another one and these were all positive reviews. Another one just said stupidity at its finest. And I think that both of those could really be on the box for this game as quotes to really sum up what you're getting yourself into for this one.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So the last game that we played was Totally Reliable Delivery Service, which is slightly easier to say, but from now on we'll call that TRDS for the sake of time.
Doesn't really have as nice a ring to it as
No,
tabs.
well, I mean, you could also call it turds. Yeah, so
turds. We came to that conclusion at the same time.
Yeah, you do you, whichever one you want to call it.
All right, let's talk about turds.
Yeah, give me a description of turds.
Okay. I wasn't sure where to go with that. I thought, never mind. Turds was probably my favorite of the three that I played over this week. How to describe turds? You are your typical delivery driver. You're a UPS guy or FedEx or pick your poison, and you need to deliver packages of various sizes and shapes and materials. you're just kind of going around this map, and there's little, I'd call them pedestals or something all around the city. And when you approach them, it will say, if you haven't done the delivery yet, it'll say new delivery. You can pull a lever and out pops a package. Now, the controls, very similar to Human Fall Flat, where you control your arms independently with, I think, maybe the triggers again and the bumpers, and you're clumsy and you get stuck on things, and you have to use your arms to pick up these boxes or packages or whatever they are. Sometimes they're blocks of ice, sometimes they're, gas cylinders that are explosive, and you're picking them up, and then you're raising them up above your head, and then you're trying to get them onto your vehicle, whatever vehicle that is. There's a number of them. And once you do that, you're given a waypoint, and you have to deliver this successfully to to the drop off. Sometimes you're given a time limit. Sometimes you are you can have unlimited time, but you need to get there with it in good condition. So it'll kind of track how beat up the package got along the way. And this all sounds pretty easy, but driving vehicles is a challenge. Controlling him is a challenge. None of the vehicles really have a means of keeping the package in, other than a small lip on the back of the bed of whatever truck you're driving. So often you'll start driving up a hill and the package will fall out, start rolling down the hill. You've got to stop, go back, get it, pick it up again, put it back in the vehicle, continue driving. It falls out again. You got to go get it. So like all of this takes time, is frustrating. And then eventually you get it there, but it's taken so much damage that you only got like a 32% on that delivery. I didn't care about that so much. I was just happy that I got it there. So yeah, I played this for a few hours before I got so frustrated I had to stop. It was a laugh. It was a riot. I did enjoy it. There's also a lot of things to mess around with without even doing the main objective. You can just roam around. It's kind of open world. It is open world. And there's all kinds of things to interact with that don't have to do with delivering packages. Like you can just get into a hot air balloon and float around and discover places. I did that once, and I landed on top of a ski hill. And then on said ski hill, I found, I guess it was a pair of kind of floating kind of bat wings. And if you interact with them, you get bat wings on your character, and you are given kind of a time trial to fly through 7 hoops through the sky. So you're kind of flapping, and it's a little difficult to control, but I found that easier to control than the vehicles. And you're flying through these rings with these wings. It's tricky. And then if you do it successfully, you unlock a new outfit or something, because you can customize your character, which I really enjoyed doing as well. Often I named my driver Carl. He often had sandals and shorts and balding hair and various tank tops, and that was one of my favorite parts, was just messing around with Carl's appearance.
Yeah, I'm surprised that you said you like this one the best, because I feel like this one was probably the weakest for single player. I played this in co-op with a friend, and it was a lot of fun to goof around with a friend, but I don't know that I would have liked this game by myself very much.
Sure. Well, I mean, between this and Human Fall Flat, I would say I enjoyed them both for similar reasons. After my 2.5 hours of playing this, I was done. And then I tried co-op, and that was fun. I would have enjoyed co-op more if it was with people I knew, who I was talking to. I tried online co-op with a bunch of random strangers, and it just became kind of frustrating.
Be a mess.
Yeah, it was a mess. Oh, there was a lot of people. It was kind of like GTA Online, but not at all like GTA Online.
So this game seemed like it was really more focused on vehicles, but it was similar to Human Fall Flat with the like vehicles all being controlled by like levers and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't like steering wheels and gas pedals. It was the same kind of thing. Like the whole controls for the truck was one lever, and you were just moving it with your one joystick, like whichever arm you had grabbed it with, and then generally just hanging on with the other arm so you didn't fly out,
Which happened
which
a lot.
which happened a lot. You mentioned like trucks and hot air balloons and stuff. Did you try the airplanes and the rocket ships and stuff?
I did. I found the helicopters to be probably the most frustrating. Um, like once I kind of got the hang of them, and then I could get up in the air. But landing with a package was always a challenge. I think I successfully delivered a package via helicopter twice. Um, more times I would crash land, and myself, the helicopter, and the package would explode. Um, I mean, again, you don't really die, but still, I didn't deliver that package. The airplanes, I found that to be a little easier than the helicopters, but still not super easy. I don't think I tried to fly an airplane and deliver a package. I'm not sure there's really space for an airplane delivery. I don't know where you would have put a package on the airplane.
Yeah, I
There's
don't
like a
really
spot for you to
remember
stand.
how
That's
whether there was any for that. One thing that we did a lot of in co-op was you would get, especially with the helicopters, there was a lot of helicopter deliveries where you had to sort of place the box inside the helicopter and then fly it over and then take it out and put it wherever. But what we would do in co-op is one person would fly the helicopter and the other person would hang from the bottom with one arm and hold the package in the other arm, and then the person flying would just sort of dunk you into the drop box, which
That sounds a lot easier.
sounds a lot easier, but was actually really, really hard to do. But it was
Sounds fun.
it was always fun, like because the person driving, the physics of the helicopter would take into account that there was a bunch of weight on the right side or the left side. And so the person driving
sure.
would have to compensate for that, and they either wouldn't be able to turn right or they wouldn't be able to accelerate very fast or whatever, depending on which part of the helicopter you were hanging off of. But that was kind of how we did a lot of the deliveries in this game to get the gold stars, was just one person was basically just hanging on while the other person drove it. I mean, it worked in the trucks too. You just hang off the back and hold on to the box, and you just kind of flap in the breeze behind the truck. So we did a lot of that.
Yeah, I did wish that I had someone else to hold on to things, because you can't drive and secure the package.
No.
Really. I mean, it's just not possible. But yeah, I can see how someone else. Can you have more than two?
I think it's 4-player, but I played it
four,
with 2.
yeah.
With 4, I think you're kind of pushing it beyond 2 to the point where I think it just would start getting harder again because people would just be in the way.
Well, yeah. Where do you put everybody?
Yeah.
These vehicles are not big.
Yeah. You also, though, didn't need to all help. Like, the nice thing about this game where it was open world was, one person playing could be on the other side of the map just fooling around with a speedboat while you're loading something into a truck and driving it down the road, and it didn't really matter. The only thing was that you could only do one delivery at a time, but otherwise people could be there or not, and the game didn't care what the other people were doing. It was nice in that way.
I can see how that would be. Yeah, I can see how that would be fun with a few people.
Yeah.
Take turns doing work and messing around.
Yeah, so yeah, I had a lot of fun with this game, but like I said, I don't think I would have played for more than 20 minutes by myself. I just think I would have probably got bored. And it's the same with the last two, where it's even just having another person to laugh at sort of the stupidity of it all makes a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I can see that. Again, I mean, I think that's why it was a good streaming game.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you do feel like you're playing with other people who are, there to laugh at the ridiculousness of it. I do think if I was playing this on my own, not streaming, not with the expectation of streaming it for 3 hours, I might not have given it more than 20 minutes. I liked that people were watching and enjoying it, though.
Yeah. So the Steam reviews for this one were not as good. They weren't bad. It was probably more positive than negative, but definitely, not as many people liked this game as the other two. But the one that the review that I liked was ha 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 fart, which reminded me of something that you probably didn't see in this game, which is that if you held a certain button, your character would fart, and the tactical purpose of that was that if somebody was holding on to you, your farts would knock them into like a ragdoll state, which would make them let go. So when you were playing in co-op,
how did I miss that?
It really only mattered in co-op, and I don't think it really told
Okay.
you how to do it anywhere. But say you're in co-op and some person playing with you is grabbing onto your character and just making it hard for you to move around or just being annoying or whatever, you could hold this button down, your character would fart, and then they would get like the stars around their head like they had been knocked on the head, and they would ragdoll for 5 seconds or something. It would just basically make them let go. But we had some fun playing around with this mechanic too, like tactically choosing when to sort of knock the other person out. And I don't think they had to be touching you. I think they just had to be close to you. So like, things
Right.
like you're in a helicopter and you're up in the sky and you do it at a time that's going to tumble them off a mountain and into the ocean and stuff like that. So we had a lot of fun with that. Like for me, this game, the actual deliveries was almost just like a little side thing that you could do. And the fun was just the sandbox of like, let's see if we can get up on this
Yeah.
mountain, or let's go over here. Let's, see if we can fart each other off of a cliff. Like, just dumb things like that. There
I
was,
feel like I enjoyed it for that reason more. Yeah, the exploration, just seeing what I could do, what there was to find and explore and stuff.
yeah, there was also a spot. I don't know if you saw it. It was on a pier somewhere, I think, and it was like a little couple of carnival rides. There was a
no.
Ferris wheel, and I don't even know what the things are called, but it like kind of tilts up and spins. Maybe it's called a tilt-a-whirl, something like that.
Yeah,
And
sounds right.
there was levers on the ground that you could pull to adjust and like make these rides go. And that was something that we played around with a lot, like just changing the speed of like the Ferris wheel and stuff, and trying to jump into it when it was going full speed, or trying to speed it up gradually enough that the other player wouldn't fly out of it when it hit max speed. Because if they sat in one of these things and you just cranked it to full speed, they would just launch up into space. But we could get it kind of spinning as fast as you could if you went gradually and stuff. So we spent a bunch of time playing with stuff like that as well. That I don't know that there was any deliveries. Maybe there were deliveries tied to those things, but there was just a few
Didn't need to
little
be.
things like that you could play with. I think there was a cannon as well that you could climb in and pull a lever and it would launch you, and another lever would aim it, so you could kind of cannon yourself around this island and stuff.
I don't think I think I saw the cannon. I don't think I went in it. I think I was distracted by an airplane.
Yeah, and I don't even know if it would work in single player, or if you needed that second person to pull the levers. I'm not really sure.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I didn't think of that.
But definitely this game seemed like it was meant for more players. But it's feasible.
You've made me want to play it in co-op now. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe sometime we'll give it another go, the two of us, and just fool around for an hour or two and try the co-op out.
Sure.
It was definitely
sure.
a better
Let's do it.
time. So now that we've sort of discussed each game individually, why don't we go through our rating system for each one? Again, we'll start with Human Fall Flat. And let's start with what you thought of the length of the game.
Well, that one's tough for me because I didn't beat it. But the length, I'll say length of levels, of the ones that I played, I feel like they were good length. They were not too short, not too long. So yeah, as far as a out of 10 rating for length, I would give those give that an 8.
So if I could put words in your mouth, I would say that since you didn't bother to beat it, it maybe was a little bit too long. Like you were kind of getting bored of it before you finished it.
Well, yeah, I got to a level that was a bit tougher, and I didn't have that much motivation to continue. I probably will down the line, but I'm okay. Like, since there's no storyline, there's nothing like really holding me
You're
here.
not dying to
I'm okay
figure
with
out whether or not the human falls
no.
flat.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. He's going to fall flat. He'll fall flat every time. He'll fall flat if I finish it today. He'll fall flat if I finish it in a year. So, I guess length, if I'm saying length of levels, we'd say, what did I say? An 8. If we're saying length of game, I don't know. I only played it for 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I could have more of it. I could handle more of it, but not right now.
Right.
What about you? You played this game? You
Yeah,
beat
I
it?
think it was. I think it was probably a pretty good length for me. Again, it's been a while since I beat this, so I don't really remember if I was kind of getting bored towards the end or not. But I don't think there was much left that you didn't do. I think you played through more than half of it, as I think you
Okay.
played for about 5 hours, and it was probably only an 8-hour game or something. So, yeah, I think it's sort of reasonable. It doesn't feel like it gets too stale, or at least it sort of ends around the time where it feels like it's getting stale.
Right. Sure.
And you kind of just basically answered this one, but the addictiveness, obviously you're not really hooked, or you would have beat it by now. You would have kept playing.
Yeah. I wasn't. I wouldn't say that I was addicted. No, there was a certain amount of drive to figure out the puzzles. I really liked the fix that gave me of the puzzles. Figuring out, the next one. Oh, I'll stop after this next one. No, just one more. Yeah, there was a little bit there, but not enough to, after I beat a level, to be like, I gotta do another one.
Right.
Yeah.
And what about difficulty and frustration?
Yeah, this game was frustrating, but I mean, that was the point. The point was for it to be a little frustrating. Difficulty, I mean, it wasn't like it was a different kind of difficult. Like, it wasn't like it was really, there were some elements that were difficult, but comparing this to something that's like really technically difficult, for difficulty, I guess I would give this a 6.
Yeah. I think there's a difference too with difficulty and frustration and stuff for things that are your fault and aren't your fault. And I think in this game, a lot of it, you kind of felt like if you messed something up, it was sort of your fault. Even though the physics were weird, they were kind of consistent, and it didn't really feel like, at least to me anyway, it didn't really feel like you were trying something that should work and it just didn't because the game was being fussy.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that.
So all those things and everything we've talked about, what do you think you would give this game on a scale of 1 to 10, just an overall rating?
Human fall flat, 7.5.
Yeah. So pretty decent, not that addictive, not that frustrating, but also not really that engaging.
Still fun though.
Yeah.
Still a good time, but yeah. Maybe it's just like not my style of game, but I think it's still a great game.
Yeah, that's probably about the range that I would put it. I liked it. The thing with these kind of games too for me is that playing them in Game Pass means that I didn't pay for them. And
Yes.
I think I like this game a lot more as a free game than I would have if I would have paid, whatever. I don't know what it is, probably $15 or something.
Definitely worth noting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna like a game like this a lot more if I didn't pay for it.
Yeah. Nope, I didn't even consider that, but that's a very good point to bring up.
So let's move on to tabs. So again, you didn't beat this one. So lengthwise, would you say it was too long, or you just, you're maybe get back to it later, or what do you think?
Well, I mean, I would be disappointed if I had already beat it. It would have been too short. But I didn't have a real drive to continue and and beat the rest of it. So yeah, I mean, I guess the length is good, but for me, I didn't really need to finish it. So I don't know how to rate that.
Yeah, I think
I don't
for
know how to
me,
rate that.
I mean, I did finish all the campaigns, at least that were available at the time. And I think, if anything, I would say it was too short. Like, I was ready for more. I really like this game. I don't know that it could be too long. I think you could just keep adding campaigns and adding more and more. And I don't think I would ever say, like, I might stop playing it eventually, but I don't think I would ever say, like, oh, this goes on too long. Because it doesn't have that
Sure.
same, you don't have to finish it to see how the story ends or anything. So, really, campaign wise, like, just keep throwing them in. There's not really any limit to how many you could do because they're all just individual challenges that you have to beat.
Yeah, I'll revisit this one with my kids for sure. This will be a fun one to, do some Saturday night or something. See if we can figure out how to beat these, these hordes. But yeah, I don't need to beat it myself. I see this one as kind of like a family fun time game.
Yeah, it's worth noting too that, like, each level is pretty short. So, or like, I mean, I guess it's as long as it takes you to find the right combination of units, because each battle only takes a minute or so. So this is a game that you could really play in really short increments and kind of just squeeze in a battle or two whenever. And like you say, you could keep playing this for a long time. You don't necessarily have to do it all in one sitting, but it might be fun to just bust this game out, once in a while and beat a few more levels. And
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And I will do that.
So again, I think you kind of answered this, but as far as addictiveness, it seems like you weren't really hooked on it, although your son might have been.
I'd say for me this was a 4. For my youngest son, this would be 9.
Yeah. So I mean that's cool though.
I think you and yeah,
like with
I think you and him would play this well together.
with the short levels too. Like, it's the kind of thing that you could give a kid and give them a set amount of time to play, or an adult for that matter. Like, a lot of games, it's almost not worth playing if you can only play for 30 minutes. Like, what am I going to get done? But in this game, you could kind of say, all right, well, you play it for 30 minutes, or I've got an hour to kill, or whatever, and you could just sit down, play for that amount of time, and then stop. And it wouldn't feel like you weren't at a natural stopping point. Like, any time in this game is a natural stopping point. So it's kind of nice that way.
Yeah. I mean, it's easy to stick them in front of it and say, okay, beat 2 rounds, and then we gotta go.
Yeah, exactly.
Or something like that.
Or stick me in front of it and tell me I can only do 2 rounds and then I gotta go do some chores.
Exactly.
And what about the difficulty or frustration for this one? Did you find it particularly tough or frustrating at any point?
No, I wouldn't say that I did. I mean, there were some that were a little harder than others, but there was none that I would say that I got especially stuck on. If it took me a few rounds, I was like, okay, cool, a challenge. Some of them were a little too easy, and some of them were just silly, but some of them were like, all right, this was going to take a little bit of figuring. But no, difficulty, frustration wise, I would give this. Now, remind me how the scale works. Are we saying 10 is the most frustrating and difficult?
Sure.
Yes, right?
Yeah, I don't think this is a very scientific formula that we've been using, so we'll say
really?
We'll say that's
Okay.
what it means today.
All right, well then that's fine. For frustration difficulty, I'd give this a 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a couple levels that got me. I think later on, probably ones that you didn't get to. There was one I remember, and you did this in a level as well, but I remember having to hide some units in some trees in a way that they could, like, I think they were ranged units, like snipers or archers or something, and I would put them in the trees where the enemies that were all close quarters couldn't get at them, and then I could just kind of pick away at them. and that was the only way I could find to beat a couple levels. And then I think there was another couple where I almost had to bait the enemies to throw themselves off of cliffs or get stuck on the side of cliffs or whatever, while mine were strategically placed in ways where they could shoot them with ranged weapons. But those levels were pretty few and far between. It wasn't overall, this was a very simple, not frustrating game, because even when you messed up, you weren't out anything. It didn't matter. Like, it was just right back to the unit selection, and you just tried something else.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. No, not a frustrating game. Good, good to play. And like continue on to any other activity without it ruining your mood.
Yeah, for sure. So, for this one, just an overall rating out of 10. Where do you think you would put this?
Tabs, I would say this is personal for me. I would say this one would be a 6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
I know you love this.
Yeah, I would probably rate it a little higher. I don't know what it is about this game, but like this is just the kind of thing that I really enjoy just messing around with. It's not really the kind of thing that I necessarily want to sit down and play in the evening for a few hours, but this is a perfect kind of maybe lunchtime game or something when you've got 20 minutes and you're sitting at your computer or whatever, just to kill a little bit of time. This is like an ideal game for that for me. So I would probably give this like maybe a 9.5 or something, because I don't really think there's anything wrong with it.
I wouldn't say no.
Per se, it's just either not for you.
That's
or
why
it
I
is
rated it
kind
the
of
way.
thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good game,
and that's fair. I'm not. Yeah, I don't think you should rate it higher than you feel you should rate it. It's just, I think this game is more for some people than others. Like, I mean, everything is obviously, but there doesn't necessarily have to be anything wrong with it for you to not love it. But yeah, I think this one, for me, this is a real banger. I really like this game.
Well, lastly, we've got turds.
So let's moving on to turds. So again, you didn't finish this one either. But lengthwise, did you find after you played for 3 hours?
That's right.
Yeah, it did, and you found. I think you stopped actually after 2, didn't you? So obviously you were getting.
I played
bored.
for a bit. I got bored. I tried the online. I got bored. I moved on to Enter the Gungeon for a while. Yes. Yeah, this game was too long for me. I mean, this game was too long for me by myself, I'll say. I think, like you've said, and hearing you describe it, I think I would have had a lot more fun with a friend or two. But on my own, playing this game, this game was too long. Just doing the solo kind of campaign, I guess the only goal was to try and deliver all the packages, go to all the kiosks and deliver them all. I didn't want to do that.
Yeah, and I also didn't finish this. Like, I didn't deliver everything, but I did play it probably for, I don't know, I'd say maybe 6 hours. I had pretty much finished all the like stuff that wasn't really annoying to do. So there's definitely like a few deliveries that I never got around to and stuff. And I think like lengthwise, it's fine. I would probably play more of it. There is DLCs for it, or at least one anyway, that I don't have. That, you know, if somebody wanted to play it or whatever, I might give it another go. So I would say it's, if anything, it's maybe too short, but it's kind of the same as with tabs where it doesn't really matter. Like, it's just sandboxy and length is kind of arbitrary for a game like this. It's just, there's stuff to do. It's fun as long as it's fun, and then you go do something else.
Very much like that. Yes, very much like, I mean, this one for me was very similar to Goat Simulator. I played a lot of that with the kids. There's a lot to explore. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of random secrets and Easter eggs all hidden all over the map, and other DLCs as well. There's not really an objective in that one like there is with this, but with this, with Turds, you didn't really have to follow the objectives. You're just, you know, exploring, seeing what you can get up to. So yeah, I mean, for my rating for length, I didn't have a desire to finish it, so I don't feel that I can give this a length rating.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't think really it makes sense to talk about the length of a
No,
game like
no,
this because there's not really any incentive to
no.
officially
Play it
beat
until
it.
you're bored.
There's no I don't know that there's even an ending. So it's just a bunch of stuff you can do, and I guess we'll
There
leave
you
it at
have
that.
it. Yes.
Far as addictiveness, I think
Yeah, we've kind of said that. I mean, I played it for 2 hours and I switched it
yeah,
off.
you didn't
That's
care.
right.
Yeah. I played it probably for 2 hours or so the first time I played it, then kind of forgot about it, and I think either me or a buddy or whatever, somebody a few days later, a few weeks later said, "Hey, we could play this again," and we jumped back in, and it was fun every time we played it, but in between I didn't think about it or didn't really
Mm.
care. So I think I would say we both find this game not very addictive.
Yep, fun for a couple hours,
Um,
fun with some friends, but no, not thinking about it when I'm not playing it.
yeah. And then what about difficulty and frustration?
I mean, this would be kind of on par with Human Fall Flat as far as how difficult it was to actually interact with things. I think when I let go of trying, when I realized that it didn't matter that much if I delivered the packages or not, and I could have fun doing other things because there were other things to do. And when I let go of that, it wasn't that frustrating anymore. It was just funny. Actually trying to complete a delivery, actually trying to do the deliveries was difficult and was a bit frustrating. Still funny, but a bit frustrating. So for that aspect of the game, I mean, I'd give it an 8 for frustration. But for just kind of exploring, finding secrets, messing around, no, it's not difficult.
Yeah, that's fair. I think this is definitely the most frustrating of the three
Yeah.
for me, far as if you're actually trying to do what you're supposed to be
Sure.
doing. But like you said, it doesn't. If you're just goofing around, you can make this game as frustrating or not frustrating as you want to by just not taking it
Yeah, I
seriously.
mean, things are only frustrating when you're trying to accomplish something.
Yeah, I think the nice thing about all three of these games was that all of them feel like something you could just kind of pick up and put down anytime. You can play them for a little bit or a long time. You can goof around with some friends, and it just really doesn't matter. Like, they're all very, very casual games that you could play whenever you've got the spare time in whatever situation you're in.
Yeah.
So I think they're good for that sense for people who don't have a lot of time or don't want to get addicted to something or whatever. These are all games that would be good for that, to not take over your
I
whole
agree.
life.
I think they fit the bill of our mission statement here. Yes, definitely.
For sure. So I guess we didn't give that one a rating out of 10. So for turds, 1 out of 10, just overall. What do you think?
I mean, originally I think I said this one was my favorite, and then I kind of rated it poorly. So I think a stickler listener is gonna come at me for that. But I mean, let's say, these reviews, these ratings are.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much. I don't think this is the real selling point of this podcast, is how accurate our review system
I'm going to
is.
give this one an 11.5.
There you go.
Sure. Yep. I mean, yep. No, realistically, an 8. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think too, like, one thing to keep in mind is that you can really enjoy a game and never finish it and never go back to it. Like, this game, you had a lot of fun for 2 hours. That was enough fun with this game for you. That's fine. Like, I don't think you need to feel the need to beat it. And again, especially with these things being in Game Pass and being free for you, you're not out anything.
No.
You didn't pay for this game. You don't feel like you need to get, exactly $13 worth of entertainment out of it or whatever.
That's the great thing about Game Pass for me. Yeah, and especially also with me, having limited time to play. It's for me. It's all about the session. It's all about that 2 to 3 hour window. If that was fun, then this game was worth it for me, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think, finishing things or feeling like you gotta do a certain thing with a game is overrated. I think we're kind of past that now. Is with so many games out there and stuff, it just kind of doesn't matter anymore in the same way. I think we talked about this before, but like, it used to be you didn't have a lot of games and you had to pick the best ones and you had to make them last. And if you got a game, you better get 100 hours of fun out of it or you got ripped off. But now with, free games or even just cheaper games and stuff, it's a lot more feasible to just play something for 2 hours, say that was a good experience, and never touch it again.
Did I have fun today? Yes? Great. Move on.
Exactly. So that's all I've got for these games. Do you want to talk about what we're doing for the next one? You've already started it a little bit.
Yes. So
we've played about 3 hours of this next game.
So right now I am playing, and next episode we will be talking about The Man of Medan, or the Dark Pictures anthology Man of Medan. This game, I think you've said, is about 5 to 6 hours completion time. Like you said, I've got about 3. This one is, I don't do horror. This one is a little spooky. A lot of jumps. So, I mean, I'm having fun with it, but I was tense after the first stream. I was tense. I don't want to get into it too much because that's next episode, but...
No, we'll talk about that next time. But all I'll say is if you want to see a grown man make some funny noises, maybe check out the YouTube video for this one before you listen to the next podcast.
Yeah, no, there's some funny moments for sure. A lot of reactions that I obviously could not control.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching you play that. I think it made for maybe it was a little bit mean on my part.
Mean, yeah, no, 100% mean.
I got some enjoyment out of it. To be fair, I almost gave you something scarier. So this was about as light horror as I could come up with.
Okay, well, yeah. If we're going any scarier, we need to ease into it. Don't just throw something terrifying at me. I will probably quit.
Yeah. We'll make sure you get like a weighted blanket or something to comfort you for anything we do in the future.
That sounds like a plan. I'm going to say that's it, though, for this week's episode. But you can follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/RogDev, ROGDEV, to watch me stream the games we talk about, or catch up on all the old streams, as we said, by subscribing to No Time to Game on YouTube. You can also join our Discord server with the link in the podcast description for important announcements and general chatter. Or if you're a fan of good old-fashioned email, you can send questions, comments, or game suggestions to notimepod@gmail.com. We also have Twitter and Instagram at NTGpod. Thank you for listening to No Time to Game. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you can be notified of upcoming episodes, and it also helps us out a lot. And we really love to see those new subscribers and to know that, we're entertaining you. So, press X to skip the credits.
I feel like we should leave that in.
I really stumbled on that last one.
Yeah, well, it's nice that it's not always me.
Yeah.
I'm never trying to say totally accurate Battle Simulator again.
No.
Of course, I nailed it there.
You did. Yeah, the last.
I'm never saying that on microphone again in my life.